What's that? All right, welcome to the Utah State Board of Education meeting. Welcome public and board members and staff and stakeholders. We will call the meeting to order. Let's do a roll call, see who we got. Board member Bogus. We're just doing roll call to see who we've got here. We got member Bogus, member Booth, member Klein, member Davis. I know Cindy's here. Vice Chair Earl.
Yes.
Member Green. Not yet. Are we expecting her remotely?
No,
Or
she's on Zoom.
she is with us on Zoom.
Well, she will be.
Will be. Okay. Do we have you with us yet, Emily? We'll come back. Vice Chair Hart.
Here.
Member Hymas, I think, said he'd be running late. Okay. Member Carey. Don't have member Carey yet. Member Carey, are you online? No? All right. So we're waiting for member Hymas. Green, member Lear.
She is going to be slightly late.
Okay. Member Green, are you with us now? Emily?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
There we go. All right. Welcome. Member Norton. Member Reel. Member Straight. Member Wood. And I'm here. So we do have a quorum. We're holding for member Hymas, member Carey, and member Lear. But let's get started. And Vice Chair Earl is going to lead us in the pledge.
The audience, please rise. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, board member message this morning is from member Wood. Are we set to go? Oh.
So at the recent Utah Teacher of the Year banquet, Chad Warnick did a beautiful job in sharing the vast difference in needs there are in the various children who come to our schools when he made this statement. Students who feel love at home come to school to learn. Students who don't come to school to feel love. It would be amazing if every student had the love and support I saw at a recent Davis School Board meeting. As I was walking in, a teacher asked me for directions as she was there to support one of her students. It turned out that she was not the only one from Clearfield High School that evening who had come to support Joshua Barrera as he was sworn in as a new student member. I had to capture this moment. His family, mom, dad, siblings, nieces and nephews, and then the school, his principal, teachers, and student body officers had all come to celebrate this moment. It was so meaningful to me. Ideally, every child would have the opportunity of family and school, and they would work together because when schools, families, and community groups work together to support learning, children tend to do better in school, stay in school longer, and like school more. That evening with Joshua has made me more grateful for those educators who have supported my children over the years. I thought I would publicly express a few thank yous in this season of Thanksgiving and gratitude. I'd like to thank Mrs. Mosier, who taught kindergarten for 4 of my children. She established a love of learning, and if Zoom had existed 12 years ago, I think the first 4 would definitely have figured out a way for her to teach number 5 too. She also didn't mind playing mom to 2 toddlers every month for a couple of years so I could serve as an elementary PTA president. Mrs. Nyland knew that 3rd graders learn best by doing, not sitting, and Mrs. Williams established a love of art and history. Mrs. Johnston established a foundation for the perfect career in early childhood education. Coach Talley taught my children that team means together everyone achieves more and to always run with the right pack. Dr. Tonks welcomed our family to the world of charter schools and still brags about my son's pro-con list he made to convince me to allow him to move to her school. Mr. Firmage, the assistant principal, had an open door and a listening ear. Mrs. Estenson, an elementary school counselor, helped fill gaps in learning and social skills far before we had a diagnosis on the autism spectrum. And Superintendent Linford and Principal Hawthorne take the time to celebrate students who may not have 4.0s or be student body officers, but they recognize that there are students who uniquely make a difference in creating a positive school climate. I figure in the past 25 years, I've interacted with over 100 different teachers, a dozen or so principals, and many, many other support staff. I'm grateful for each one who helped my children walk their individual paths. And at the end of the year, we'll have one more Davis Dart to add to this picture. I hope as we begin this month, when we often focus on the things we're grateful for, that you might consider adding someone who has helped you or your child walk along their path of life. Whether it's a teacher, administrator, coach, counselor, superintendent, secretary, bus driver, custodian, lunch lady, librarian, or any of our other many school employees, thank you for the difference you make.
Thank you, Member Wood. All right, next up, our education highlight. Go to Kelsey James.
That's fine. Thank you, Chair Moss. Kelsey James, Board Communications Coordinator. I am going to welcome up here Julie Lundell. She is one of our specialists here at USBE with teacher recruitment and retention, and she has a couple guests with her, and I'll let her introduce those as I get the slideshow ready.
Okay, thank you, Ms. James. Julie Lundell, Specialist USBE, over teacher recruitment, retention, and evaluation. And I'm pleased to introduce our guests today. We have Tony Zaney and Carrie Johnson, who are part of the leadership team at Rose Park Elementary. And in their spare time, they are also the leadership team for the National Board Teacher Coalition, yeah. So I'd like to turn the time over to them. They're going to share a little bit of information about the National Board Teaching Coalition.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having us today. I'm Tony Zaney. I'm the assistant principal at Rose Park Elementary. I'm a National Board certified teacher. I certified in early childhood when I was a first grade teacher. This is Carrie Johnson. Allow you to introduce.
Good morning. Thank you for having us here. I'm Carrie Johnson. I'm a National Board Certified Teacher, Middle Childhood Generalist. I'm currently a math coach at Rose Park Elementary and Meadowlark Elementary in Salt Lake City School District, and I certified in 2017. I'm also the Vice President of the Utah National Board Coalition.
I'm the president of the coalition, and we want to thank you for the support that the board has given to National Board Certification. And we want to explain a little bit about National Board Certification, why it's important, and how we're trying to help the state of Utah increase the number of National Board Certified teachers.
All right, so every student deserves to be taught by an accomplished teacher. Everything about the National Board Certification process is focused on this vision. National Board is all about defining and recognizing accomplished teaching. As someone who's taken on initial certification, maintenance, and has mentored many teachers through their National Board Certification, also facilitating various professional development for my district as a coach, I can attest that this is the best professional development an educator can undergo. The architecture of accomplished teaching is embedded in every component that you do with National Board. Next slide, please. There's a compelling reason why National Board is the most respected certification available in education. National Board teachers know their students very well, and they use that knowledge to design meaningful learning opportunities for students. They reflect deeply on their practice and constantly look for ways to increase their impact on student learning. Next slide, please. I'd like to share just a little bit of my story and how National Board has advanced the quality of teaching and learning in the classrooms that I support as a coach. I certified in 2017 as a middle childhood generalist. I was actually a coach at the time, so I was able to adopt classrooms to go in and do my components in the classroom. The benefit of that was getting to refine my practice, but also get to collaborate with that classroom teacher and get to know their students very well. The thing I want to share is how filming yourself as a teacher can be super daunting at first. You have to get over that initial hurdle of, is that how I look like? Is that how I sound like on camera? But once you work past that, seeing the students on camera, you notice so much more. And the thing that helped me with filming myself and going through this deep reflection process is I noticed how my students were very good at pretending to have academic conversations. But in watching it back on camera, I was able to change the questions I was asking students, the supports I was offering them, and the involvement of them in setting their own goals and reflecting on their own learning. And I can say now that after seeing myself on camera and watching the students, I am more in tune with what students are actually doing and saying in the classroom. Therefore, my students are able to do more because I've gone through this process. Next slide, please.
So I was reflecting on this research that National Board Certified Teachers, they teach their kids about 1 or 2 more months worth of content in a school year. And I've been reflecting on that. How can that be? That doesn't seem reasonable. And then I thought about when I went through the process. And I thought, I became a better teacher. When I went through the National Board Certification process, which is quite rigorous, you record yourself and you spend so much time watching yourself teaching and refining and reflecting. And one thing I've noticed about other National Board Certified teachers is you're much less likely to spend time reviewing and reteaching. The National Board Certification process makes you so much more effective and efficient, and you're so much more inclined to teach kids more rigorous things. You really are teaching more content. It truly makes you a better teacher, and everyone I've ever worked with that's gone through the certification process, they say it's the best professional development they've ever done. Because it's all about your teaching. It's all about your students. It's all about that stack of videos that you make and you watch and you refine and you reflect and you do it again and again and again until you become a National Board Certified teacher. It's powerful. And the research is it's most powerful for our kids who are most needy. And really, that's what I want to emphasize. That your support for National Board Certification is putting better teachers in Utah's classrooms. Generally speaking, once you become National Board Certified, you see that certification helps raise your career up, so it's also a career builder. A lot of National Board Certified teachers go on to mentor other teachers. They go on to become coaches. I was a literacy coach, and now I'm a school administrator. By the way, coaches and administrators can still be National Board Certified. And I encourage them to. You have to get into a classroom and teach. I still go into classrooms and teach. I just renewed my certification, and I'll be up again in a few years. You get into a classroom and teach. I don't think there's anything better that an administrator can do. Could we skip one more? There are 25 certificate areas, so it pretty well covers all areas of teaching in all ages. At one point, they thought about doing a National Board Certification for administrators. But as they were doing that, they realized that administrators should be teachers, that you should be an instructional leader and a teacher first. So when I go to renew, I go back to a lower grades classroom as an early childhood specialist. So I would go back to a first or second grade classroom, even though I'm the assistant principal now, and pretty much spend the entire school year teaching lessons in there, recording myself, and then submitting that to renew my certification. The process is rigorous. There is 4 components that you have to submit. The first is an assessment. It's essay and multiple choice, and it's specific to your standards. So if you're an art teacher, a math teacher, it's going to be content and subject specific. The other 3 are portfolio entries. You're going to analyze student work, and you're going to write about 20 pages of analysis of that student work, of not only what you taught, but what did the students learn and how did you change your teaching? And then what was the end result for the kids? So you're looking at what the students do, what you need to change in your teaching or improve, or what you need to learn, and then the outcome for your students. Component 3 is the the toughest one. It's the most weighted. You record yourself teaching, and you analyze that. And there's about 20 pages of written reflection that goes with that. And you submit it, and that is challenging. I cannot tell you how many times I recorded myself teaching. It wasn't good enough, and I had to do it again. But it made me a better teacher. And then the written analysis of how you use assessments and collaborate with others to improve student outcomes. Again, another 20 pages of written reflection. This is a rigorous process. Most people don't finish it in a year. Most people take 2 or 3 years. But in the end, you are such a better teacher. It's worth it. Doesn't matter what order you submit them in. Some people do take more than 3 years because they'll let you retake it. And this isn't like a master's degree where because I have a master's degree. I did the research, I did the work, I got the master's degree. But this is based on classroom practice. National Board Certification is analyzing what you do and submitting it and continuously improving. You're making yourself better and then proving that you meet the highest standards in the country. So we are the president and vice president of the Utah National Board Coalition, and we are trying really hard to increase the number of National Board certified teachers in Utah. We have 4 cohorts going right now. Currently, we are working with about 35 teachers working on their certification, which doesn't sound like a lot, but we only have 147 in the whole state of Utah currently practicing. Our numbers are really low. The state of Wyoming has like triple the number of National Board certified teachers that we have, and their state population is like 1/6 of ours. So we're trying to bring that up. So each month we're providing 4 cohorts, and we provide formal training and mentoring so that all of these candidates are getting mentoring from a current National Board certified teacher. Let me do one more slide. So we want to improve outcomes for Utah students. National Board certification is proven to make teachers more effective, and it reduces teacher turnover. National Board certified teachers are more likely to stay in the classroom and stay in education. And I was reflecting on that, and I was like, well, why? And then I thought, when you're good at something, you like to do it. If you're good at teaching, you like to do it, and you stick with it. It's like playing a sport. If I don't like soccer, I'm not going to play it. But if I'm a really good soccer player, I'm going to be out there on the playground every day playing soccer. So when you become really good and really effective and respected, you'll probably stay. And we really appreciate your support. I'm not sure if all of the board members know, but there's a stipend for classroom teachers for earning National Board certification. The prepayment of the fees, it costs about $400 per component. That's a huge game changer for teachers to be able to take that barrier away and apply for the State Board of Education to prepay the fees so that they can focus on the components in the portfolio. We really appreciate the support. Do you have anything you want to?
Well, and I would
Sure.
just say the number one support that I give teachers is in mentoring, is actually getting the students to take more ownership of their learning.
Oh.
That's why this process is so beneficial for our students. Every teacher that I've mentored through the process has turned over more responsibility, more reflection. Their students are doing and saying more in class. So it truly is the best professional learning that a teacher can undergo because it gets the students to do more in class.
The students are doing the work of learning. And you'd be shocked when you're in classrooms, and I am a lot, how much teachers talk. And kids tune them out. And when you go through this process and you watch a recording of yourself and you see how much you talk and how much the kids are wandering off, it changes your teaching, and the kids do more of the hard work of learning. It really does. Questions, comments?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Thank you very much for addressing and reminding us the importance. I think there's some questions out there sometimes of funding and policy. So board members, it's a live question as well as an inspirational report. There are, questions about policy.
Yes, thank you. May I address them directly, Chair?
You bet. Thank you.
Okay. So as I've visited with nationally board certified teachers, one of the statements that really struck me was that, in their opinion, receiving their national board certification was more valuable to their students than their master's degree. Do we have any data that backs that up? And I have some other questions too, but go ahead.
Well, the research that I've seen, I haven't seen any research that earning a master's degree actually dramatically improves outcomes for students. But there is research that this process, your kids learn about 10 to 20% more content in a school year. And you're overall a better teacher. I don't know of any particular research. My master's degree is in school leadership, but it didn't technically make me a better teacher, just made me a more knowledgeable teacher. Does that make sense?
Yes. So I don't know if you're aware, but there has been discussion at USBE regarding this, both policy and funding.
Mm-hmm.
And we did. I pulled it back a little bit. It was something that I'd put forward because I felt like we needed more information, because we do have incentive programs such as this. We have several that we're doing, and in many respects, my opinion is they're not being used effectively, and I think national board certification is one of those. The truth of the matter is that when someone receives their master's degree, they're getting anywhere from a $4,000 to $6,000 bump in their pay.
That's true.
That is much more of an incentive, and thus we see large numbers of teachers. I don't know what the percentages are, but most teachers that I know receive their master's degree.
I think it's about 40%.
40%?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, I kind of made a statement there, but in your opinion, what would be the best way that USBE could move this forward to encourage more teachers to become nationally board certified?
When I first certified, I was actually teaching first grade in Virginia in 2007. The stipend from the state was $10,000. In most states, it's about $5,000. And you mentioned it's a bigger pay raise. So I actually earned my national board before I got my master's degree, because when I was teaching first grade in 2007, I had a 3-year-old at home. And it was economics. Like I was a new dad, and how can I increase my income? And the state of Virginia prepaid the fees for me, so it wasn't anything out of pocket. Master's degree is out of pocket. I earned my certification, and $10,000 pay increase talks. And most East Coast states, it's about $10,000. So if you look at states like Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, tens of thousands of national board certified teachers in those states. Western states, the stipend tends to be much lower. Ours is one of the lowest. It's not all about the money, but if you're a young teacher and you need to increase your income, and think about rural districts. You go down to San Juan County and the pay is not great. I've looked at their pay scale down there. This national board certification would be so beneficial for their students and a pay increase for their teachers. You'd have people knocking down the door to get it.
Thank you, Member Straight. Any other questions, comments? Superintendent Dixon.
Work? Okay. Thank you, Carrie and Tony, for coming, and it's been a pleasure to be in your school and watch you in action and see the actual reflection taking place in the classroom. So that's my question, Carrie, is to your comment about it helps students be more reflective. The early research around national board certification did not show that transference of reflection into the classroom, and I think that's where some of the early criticism came from, just reflecting as to why we didn't get this uptick in our legislature. Every time we would go and ask for funding, that research was brought up. So can you drill down on that a little bit? Because I've seen it play out in classrooms in Utah with national board certified teachers. Is there something that has changed in the process that's more intentional about that? If you could speak to that. For anybody who might be listening, I think that's an important inflection, how we might get more support. Thank you.
Absolutely. So it's all embedded in the standards. When you submit your portfolio or your video evidence, you have to highlight where in your video or where in the student work are you exemplifying the standards. The standards specifically say that students need to show reflection. They need to take ownership of their own learning goals. So, for example, if you have a writing rubric, you would submit actual evidence of students evaluating themselves using that rubric, giving each other and their classmates feedback based on what the teacher had asked them to do. If you're submitting video evidence, the assessors want to see students giving each other feedback. So not just getting feedback from the teacher, but students are actually aware of, this is where I'm at in meeting this learning goal. Here's the steps I need to do next to help myself reach that goal. And if you're not showcasing that in your evidence, you wouldn't certify, therefore you'd go through the process again to have stronger evidence of students taking ownership of their learning.
And they have changed the process. It is different now than when I certified in 2007. For example, component 4, totally different. They totally have revamped it. From about 2019 through 2022, they went through a process of refining and revamping. So the components are different. They're more refined. They're more student-centered. Component 4 used to be about your own personal professional development. Now it's about assessments and collaboration for the benefit of students. The content-specific test is different than it used to be. It used to be 6 essay questions. Now it's some essay, some multiple choice. It used to be a 10-year renewal. Now it's a 5-year maintenance. So you have to maintain it over time. And because I had certified in 2007, I didn't have to recertify until 2017. Now it's every 5 years. So they have refined it and made it much more powerful, I think.
All right, thank you. Back to Kelsey, I think. Or does that wrap us up? All right. Thank you all very much for being with us. Appreciate
Thank you very
your input.
much. We're going to go back to Rose Park now.
Happy travels. Okay. Oh, yes. Sorry.